Why are we here? Why are we here? We're here because we are feeling the transition. We're in the shift in our own unique ways. We're aware of it. We can feel things changing for us. And we want to come together in community to celebrate, celebrate what we're doing together in the collective, and to celebrate our own unique journeys and to help each other, because this is hard work. It's not easy. So I'm doing these monthly presentations to talk about the system of separation, which is what we have been living in. You can call it the matrix, you can call it the 3D construct, but ultimately what it is a system of separation. And one of the most helpful things we can do for ourselves is simply work our way out of the separation dynamic. In every aspect of ourselves in which we're aware of it, we can feel it, and we are conscious of it, and we can become more conscious of it, which is what this 3D construct template work is about. Now, some of you will have heard me speak about this before. I will do my best to go thoroughly but quickly. It's probably not awful for you if you hear it again. But what the system of separation does, where it came from, we're just beginning to kind of figure out. What it's doing, we're also beginning to be aware of, and I liken it to an open air concentration camp. So if we go back to the days when the concentration camps were operating in Poland and in Germany, there were experiments being conducted on people against their will. There were all kinds of conditioning experiments happening, but it was all in an enclosed, fenced-in area, and that made it difficult for the rest of the world to kind of know what was going on for a while. Eventually, it got found out, and people were horrified, as well they should have been. Well, what's kind of a missing link for many people is that that experimentation didn't stop. It just stopped happening that way. And when the events led to the dynamic of shock and awe and coming into a world war, the people who were behind that systematic relationship to other human beings realized that they would no longer be able to do it that way. Well, then how could they do it? They had learned so much from that experimentation that they thought, hey, let's just do it out in the open. And this is how we can do it out in the open. So what we do know historically from that time is that there are manufacturers. For instance, Monsanto evolved from that period of time. Mercedes-Benz evolved from that period of time. There are many companies that evolved who were part of that ongoing, hidden, covert experimentation. They didn't stop doing what they were doing. We know that the fluoride that's in our drinking water follows the experimentation that happened in the camps on how to keep people calm and docile. So what they did was they just simply took the techniques, they went corporate, and they made this a complete open air concentration camp that we're living in. In this dynamic, we are engineered to live in separation, and we have a price that we pay in terms of our emotional dynamics and all that good stuff. All right, that's the preamble. So I just wanted to prepare you because this one's going to be intense. All right, now we're going to pull back. We're going to take a minute because, as I say with Living Lessons, everything is information. Everything is conscious, and everything is in relationship. And information, consciousness in relationship is awareness. And these devices are going to really assist us moving through our way out of the system of separation, and we each are making a contribution. And our digital devices are making a contribution as well. So it's very woo-woo, but I do it all the time. I always put my hands on my machine and I thank it for participating. And I thank it and I send it a quality of love and care and say, do your best, keep the interference to a minimum. I really appreciate you. So let's all just give ourselves a moment. Then we can breathe, and usually that kind of knocks down a lot of the wonky stuff that can happen. And what do we do with it? Now that we found consciousness, what are we going to do with it? And have a good time. So lighten it up because it's going to get a little intense. We've done 2 others of these presentations. The first template set that I did was the template set of rejection, abandonment, and jealousy. Now, these are emotions that are triggered by the dynamics of the system of separation. And we did that presentation, and then we went to punishment, sacrifice, and loss. And we've gone a little bit deeper, and now this is the 3rd of these major templates. And you'll see when I begin the presentation that the symbol I'm now using for this, it's so beautiful. It really is a map of not only consciousness, but it's a map of the construct. It's the Sri Yantra. So in my dynamic, in my process, when I go in and I'm looking at these things energetically, because I have a long background as an energetic healer, and I can see energy and feel it and, pretty well versed in that. These things have shown up as very stable triangular formations that then combine like triangular Legos to make other structures. And they all work synergistically together. And that's why when we're living in the system of separation, it's so awful, but it's so seamless. It's really seamless until something happens to you and you trip over something and it's an artifact and you go, wait a minute, what was that? Which is actually fun. I really love those moments. So today we're going to talk about another major dynamic within this system. And this one is challenging because organic human beings function organically in natural law, in health, with great immune systems. We need bliss. We need bliss in order for our DNA to function properly. There's an electromagnetic dynamic to bliss. There's a resonance to the experience of bliss. And it actually feeds our cells, our DNA, our mitochondria. And the more we're able to live on organic, natural bliss, which is all around us, we're actually surrounded by it, even when we're in the system of separation. We just have to figure out how to access it. So, one of the things that keeps us from doing it are these templates. Now, we're going to talk today about withholding pleasure, inflicting cruelty, and what happens in that dynamic is that time becomes a frozen commodity. And as I said, if you've got the information in my newsletter, we either can't remember or we can't forget. And that's the duality perception that the system of separation keeps us in. So we're going to look at these elements today, and we're going to invite all 3 states of mind. And I talk in my work about accessing all 3 states of mind, which are also, for most of us, in separation. Biologically, neurologically, physiologically, we're in separation in our body structures. But our 3 states of mind are the conscious mind, and that's what we'll be working with today, your subconscious mind, and your unconscious mind. And when we do this kind of work together, we're coming in from the level of the conscious mind, but we're inviting the unconscious mind to kind of wake up a little bit and join the party. And then as we continue to deepen and do more of this work, then we're able to reach in and penetrate the subconscious. And when these 3 states of mind become unified and you are of one mind, this is the kind of fluid movement that actually is so helpful if you're doing shadow work or if you're aware that your ego dynamics are starting to shift. So, and we all have our particular methods of doing our journeys and our inner work. But I want to just lay this out for you a little bit. So when we talk about these templates, I want you to understand that they are actually the energetics, the frequencies of these templates are embedded in us. And when we come out of the matrix, we are removing the frequencies, we are changing our frequency so the frequencies can no longer coexist. And we choose which one is going to be predominant for us. And hopefully, for all of us, that's going to be all the frequency arrays of wholeness. And as you come out of the system of separation, out of the construct, you have more and more life force available. You have more and more insight, more capacity to feel, more capacity for relationship. You learn to discern between a truthful communication and a communication that is based in a half-truth or a lie. These are all body-based functions. So the other thing I like to do is just give a shout out to these amazing human bodies that we have. They are incredible. And when we wake up to the full intelligence and wisdom and the power, the system of separation will just disappear because we won't hold any of those frequencies willingly anymore. We won't hold any of those frequencies unconsciously anymore or subconsciously. And that will be that we are now just living in another dynamic altogether, because in addition to everything being information, everything is also frequency. So it's a rough go on our bodies. Our DNA is getting upgraded. We're have all kinds of stuff going on. We're changing our diets. I've been off coffee for 2 days. I'm like, oh, whoa. Because I'm here working on this particular template, it's like, well, there's some really interesting emotional dynamics. And then what we do when we're pushed by these triggers. So again, I want to thank you for your time. And I'm going to go through a PowerPoint presentation. I have really kind of broken information down into concepts that we can look at, we can share, we can feel, observe, and we'll have an opportunity for sharing before we close the workshop for today.